Commander Kai Thorne's boots echoed through the dimly lit corridors of Kepler Station as he made his way back to his quarters. The diplomatic mission to the Helix Nebula had lasted 3 exhausting days, and all he wanted was his own bed and 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. The power outage earlier that week had scrambled half the station's systems, including room assignments, but maintenance assured him everything was restored. Kai Pom scanned his door, watching it slide open with a soft hiss. He froze. Someone was in his bed. The figure was curled beneath his regulation-issue blanket, breathing deeply in what appeared to be the most peaceful sleep he'd witnessed in years. Pale purple skin gleamed softly in the ambient light, and dark curly hair spilled across his pillow like silk. He recognized her immediately, Trava Zalani, the station's head of night security. She looked vulnerable. Nothing like the sharp, efficient officer who patrolled the station's corridors with military precision. Her usually alert features were relaxed, lips slightly parted, and one hand tucked under her cheek like a child. Kai's first instinct was to wake her, explain the mix-up, send her to her proper quarters. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the dark circles under her eyes that he'd noticed growing deeper over the past few weeks, or the way she seemed to carry the weight of the entire station's safety on her shoulders. Instead, he set down his travel bag with careful silence and moved to his desk chair. If she needed rest this badly, he could work for a few more hours. He pulled up routine reports, stealing glances at the sleeping form in his bed. Trava shifted slightly, making a soft sound that was almost a purr. The tension that usually lined her shoulders had completely melted away. 3 hours passed before she stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, brilliant violet irises adjusting to the dim room. For a moment, she looked confused, peaceful even. Then awareness hit. Trava shot upright, her gaze locking with Kai's across the room. Her pale purple skin flushed a deeper shade. "Commander, she started, scrambling to her feet. "The power outage, the room assignments, I thought this was." "It's all right," Kai said softly, standing from his chair. "You looked like you needed the rest." Trava's mouth opened and closed wordlessly, embarrassment radiating from every line of her body. She grabbed her boots and fled, leaving only the lingering scent of starflowers and the warmth of where she'd been. Trava spent the entire next day avoiding Commander Thorne. Every time she glimpsed his familiar figure in the corridors, she ducked into maintenance shafts or took longer routes through the station. The mortification burned in her chest like a plasma fire. "You're being ridiculous," her friend Kes observed during their shift change. The blue-skinned engineer leaned against the security console, watching Trava pace. "It was an honest mistake. I slept in his bed, Kes. His actual bed. For 7 hours." Trava ran her hands through her dark curls. "Do you know how that looks? Like you got the first decent sleep you've had in months." Kes raised an eyebrow. "Because that's exactly what it looks like. Your eyes aren't bloodshot for the first time in weeks." Trava paused mid-pace. It was true. She'd woken feeling more refreshed than she had since arriving at Kepler Station 6 months ago. No nightmares about the Proxima raids. No tossing and turning until dawn. His quarters smell like. She trailed off, searching for words. Like what? Peace. Safety. Like someone who actually sleeps instead of just surviving until morning. Evening approached with the artificial dimming of station lights. Trava found herself standing outside Kai's quarters, her hand hovering over the door chime. She'd been there for 10 minutes, paralyzed by indecision. The door slid open. "Planning to stand out there all night?" Kai's voice was gentle, amused. He stepped aside, gesturing her in. "The corridor sensors picked up your heat signature 20 minutes ago." Trava's cheeks flushed deeper purple. "I shouldn't have come. This is inappropriate." "Trava." He said her name like it was something precious. "When's the last time you slept more than 3 hours straight?" She opened her mouth to lie, then closed it. The concern in his dark eyes made her throat tight. I don't sleep well. Haven't for a long time. Neither do I. Kai moved to his small kitchenette, pulling out 2 cups. Insomnia comes with command, I suppose. Too many people depending on you to truly rest. The admission surprised her. Commander Thorne always seemed so composed, so in control. You looked like you were sleeping fine in that chair. Best rest I've had in months, actually. Knowing someone else was safe and peaceful nearby, it helped. He handed her a steaming cup of something that smelled like earth and growing things. Chamomile tea. My grandmother's recipe. Trava accepted the cup gratefully, inhaling the soothing scent. They sat on opposite ends of his small couch, the silence comfortable rather than awkward. I could take the couch, Kai offered quietly. If you want to sleep here tonight. No expectations, no obligations. Just, rest. Trava studied his face, searching for any hint of ulterior motive. She found only genuine kindness and understanding. You would do that? I think we both need it. An hour later, they lay on opposite sides of the bed, a careful space between them. Trava clutched her pillow, hyper-aware of Kai's steady breathing beside her. Gradually, the warmth and safety of his presence lulled her into the deepest sleep she'd known in years. 1 week became their unspoken agreement. Trava arrived each evening carrying her own pillow, a small declaration of belonging that made Kai's chest warm. She no longer hesitated at the door, and he always had tea waiting. Their conversations grew longer, deeper, spanning everything from tactical procedures to childhood memories on distant worlds. On Vaelthera, we have 3 moons, Trava murmured one evening, curled on her side facing him. The gap between them had shrunk to mere inches. When all 3 align, the tides sing. My mother used to say it was the planet's lullaby. Kai turned toward her, studying the wistful expression on her face. Do you miss it? Your homeworld? Every day. But leaving was necessary. Her violet eyes darkened. The Proxima incursions, my unit was decimated. I couldn't stay where every shadow reminded me of the dead. Without thinking, Kai reached out, his fingers barely brushing hers. I'm sorry. Trava didn't pull away. Instead, she interlaced their fingers, marveling at how perfectly they fit together. What about you? Earth must feel very far away. Sometimes. But lately. He squeezed her hand gently, this feels more like home than anywhere I've been. The admission hung between them, heavy with meaning neither was quite ready to voice. Their routine evolved naturally. Trava would finish her evening patrol and slip into what she'd begun calling our spot, never Kai's quarters anymore. He'd have her tea ready, he'd learned she preferred Vaeltheri sweetleaf to chamomile. She'd tell him about her day, the minor infractions and maintenance issues, while he shared the administrative headaches and diplomatic puzzles that consumed his time. The station's gossip network, efficient as any communication system, had begun to notice. Trava caught whispered conversations that stopped when she entered rooms, knowing glances between crew members. She found she didn't care. Let them talk, she told Kess when her friend mentioned the rumors. I sleep through the night now. That's worth any amount of speculation. But it was more than sleep. Kai's presence had become a constant source of comfort. The way he listened without judgment, how he never pressed for details about her past trauma, the gentle way he'd adjust the temperature when he noticed her shivering, all of it wove together into something dangerously close to devotion. On their 7th night, exhaustion overcame caution. Trava drifted off first, and sometime in the depths of sleep, she migrated toward Kai's warmth. She woke to find herself curved against his side, her head on his shoulder, their hands still entwined from the night before. Kai was already awake, his free hand gently stroking her hair. Good morning, he whispered, voice rough with sleep. Trava should have moved, should have apologized, should have restored the careful distance they'd maintained. Instead, she pressed closer, breathing in his scent, clean soap and something uniquely him that made her feel completely safe. "Good morning," she murmured against his chest, and felt his heartbeat quicken beneath her cheek. Neither of them moved to separate, and Trava knew with crystalline certainty that they'd crossed a line from which there would be no return. The attack came without warning during the middle shift, 3 days after they'd woken in each other's arms. Kai was reviewing supply manifests when the station's alarm shrieked through his quarters. Red emergency lights bathed everything in an ominous glow as his comm unit crackled to life. "Commander, we have a breach in Section C-7, came the urgent voice of Lieutenant Park. "Unknown hostiles, heavily armed. Security Team Alpha is responding." "Team Alpha. Trava's team." Kai's blood turned to ice as he raced toward the command center, the sound of plasma fire echoing through the corridors. He arrived to find chaos, crew members taking cover behind overturned tables, sparks showering from damaged conduits, and the acrid smell of burned metal filling the air. "Status report," he barked, sliding behind the main console. 5 hostiles, possibly pirates. "They breached through the auxiliary docking port," Park shouted over the noise. "Team Alpha engaged them in the main corridor, but..." The medic's voice cut through the comm. "Medical emergency, Section C-7. Officer down, officer down. Security Chief Zalani, severe plasma burns to the left shoulder and chest." The world tilted sideways. Kai gripped the console edge so hard his knuckles went white. "How severe?" "She's conscious but losing blood fast. We need to get her to medical immediately." 20 minutes felt like 20 hours. Kai paced the medical bay's waiting area, his mind replaying every possible worst-case scenario. When Dr. Yamoto finally emerged, exhaustion lined her features. "She'll recover fully," the doctor assured him. The burns were severe but missed any vital organs. "She'll need several days of regenerative therapy." Kai pushed past her without ceremony, finding Trava propped up in bed, her left shoulder and chest wrapped in healing gel patches. Her dark curls were matted with sweat, but her violet eyes were alert and focused on him with an intensity that made his heart skip. "You look terrible," she said, attempting her usual wry smile. "You nearly died." The words came out harsher than he intended, raw with the fear that had been clawing at his insides. "But I didn't." Trava reached for him with her uninjured arm. "Kai, I'm fine." He took her hand, bringing it to his lips, pressing a gentle kiss to her palm. "When I heard you were down, I couldn't breathe. The thought of losing you before I could tell you." "Tell me what?" Kai met her eyes, decision crystallizing like ice forming on metal. "That I love you. That these past weeks have been the best of my life. That waking up with you in my arms felt like coming home after years of being lost in space." Trava's breath caught. "Kai. I know it's complicated. Chain of command, regulations, the fact that we've only known each other a few months." "Stop." Trava tugged him closer until he sat on the edge of her bed. "I love you too. I have since that second night when you made me tea and listened to stories about my homeworld like they were the most important thing in the universe." Relief flooded through him, followed immediately by fierce protectiveness. "I can't go through that again. The fear, the thought of losing you." "Then don't." Trava's free hand cupped his cheek. "Be with me. Really with me. Not just sharing a bed, but sharing a life." Kai leaned into her touch, then bent to kiss her. It was gentle at first, careful of her injuries, but Trava's soft sigh made him deepen it. When they finally parted, both were breathing unsteadily. "The regulations," he began, "can be amended for off-duty relationships between senior staff," Trava finished. "I checked." Kai laughed despite everything. "Of course you did. I've been thinking about this for weeks." Her fingers traced the line of his jaw. "About us. About what this could be if we stopped being afraid. And what's your conclusion?" Trava's smile was radiant despite her pain. That I want to wake up next to you every morning for the rest of my life. In our spot. In our home. 3 months later, the morning routine had become as natural as breathing. Kai woke to the sensation of Trava's fingers tracing lazy patterns across his chest, her head pillowed on his shoulder. Pale purple skin looked luminous in the soft artificial dawn lighting he'd programmed to match Veilfairy sunrise cycles, a small surprise that had made her cry happy tears when she'd first seen it. "Good morning, beautiful," he murmured, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. 5 more minutes, Trava protested, tightening her arms around him. "I'm not ready to share you with the rest of the station yet." "We have 30 minutes before the staff meeting," Kai reminded her, though he made no move to get up. "And you're the one who insisted on reviewing security protocols first thing." Past Trava was clearly an idiot who didn't appreciate the value of lazy mornings with her bond mate. The Veilfairy term still sent warmth flooding through his chest. Bond mate, deeper than marriage, a spiritual and emotional joining that her people reserved for once-in-a-lifetime connections. When she'd first called him that, 2 weeks after returning from medical, he'd researched the term extensively. The weight of it, the permanence it implied, had terrified and thrilled him in equal measure. Trava shifted, propping herself up to look at him properly. Her hair was adorably mussed, and the thin scar across her shoulder from the pirate attack had faded to a silver line that she no longer tried to hide. "What are you thinking about?" "You. Us. How 3 months ago I thought I was just being kind to an exhausted colleague, and now." He reached up to tuck a dark curl behind her ear. "Now I can't imagine my life without you in it." "Lucky for you, you'll never have to." Trava leaned down to kiss him, slow and sweet. "I submitted the request yesterday." "What request?" Kai asked, though the pleased sparkle in her violet eyes suggested he'd like the answer. "To officially combine our quarters. Make this assignment permanent rather than temporary." She grinned at his surprised expression. "I may have mentioned that the security chief requires consistent sleep patterns for optimal performance, and recent data suggests this arrangement provides measurably better rest quality for both senior staff members involved." Kai burst out laughing. "You submitted scientific data to justify us living together?" Kes helped with the charts. Very official-looking graphs about REM sleep cycles and stress hormone levels. Trava's grin turned wicked. "Plus productivity reports showing improved efficiency in both our departments since we started this arrangement." "I love your devious mind." Kai rolled them over, pinning her beneath him as she squealed with laughter. "What else did this report include?" "Classified information," Trava said primly, then gasped as he began trailing kisses down her throat. "Though I might be persuaded to share details." "Consider this an official interrogation," Kai murmured against her collarbone, delighting in the way she arched beneath him. An hour later, they finally emerged from their quarters together, walking openly down the corridor toward the command center. The crew had long since stopped staring, their relationship was officially sanctioned and universally supported. If anything, the station ran more smoothly with both senior officers properly rested and happy. "Commander, Chief," Lieutenant Park greeted them with a knowing smile. "The morning briefings are ready when you are." As they settled into their respective positions in the command center, Trava caught Kai's eye across the room. The look they shared was full of shared secrets, professional respect, and the deep contentment of two people who'd found their perfect match. After the meeting, as the day shift took over and they prepared to return to their quarters, Trava paused at the door. "Second thoughts?" Kai asked, misunderstanding her hesitation. Trava shook her head, looking around at the space they transformed from his quarters into something entirely theirs. Her books on xenobiology sat next to his collection of Earth poetry. Veilfairy wind chimes hung beside his grandmother's photos. 2 pillows lay side by side on the bed where they'd learned to sleep without nightmares. "No second thoughts," she said softly. I'm home. For the first time since leaving Veilfara, I'm actually home." Kai moved to stand behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist and pressing a kiss to her temple. "We're home, he corrected gently. Trava leaned back against him, watching the stars whirl past their viewport. Home wasn't a place or a planet anymore, it was this man, this love they'd built from accidental meetings and shared silences. It was waking up safe and sleeping without fear. It was belonging somewhere, to someone, completely. "We're home," she agreed, and meant it with every fiber of her being.